Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nuncia Manuli, Assistant Vice President for University Events, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the third annual President's State of the University Address. To begin our program this afternoon, I ask all of you to please stand for the singing of America the Beautiful, which will be led by Kayla Knight, class of 2019, College of Professional Studies, and member of the St. John's University Jazz Band. Following the singing of America the Beautiful, please remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered by Reverend Bernard M. Tracy, CM, Executive Vice President for Mission.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet who stern impassioned stress, a thoroughfare of freedom beat across the wilderness. America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Most merciful God, be with us today as we gather together, unified in you and filled with gratitude for making us partners in your ongoing work of creation. You call each one of us to be part of this university community, and you bless us with a unique legacy that began with St. Vincent de Paul 400 years ago and has been passed from generation to generation. The gift of our mission, founded for the service of those most in need and for the formation of clergy and laity in doing the same, enables us to make decisions attentive to the signs of the time and the more urgent calls of those neglected within society, responding with active service rooted in justice and mercy. The gifts of our Vincentian and Catholic heritage invite us to be part of a tradition that builds on the wisdom of the past with a vision open to the opportunities of the future. These gifts also challenge us to move beyond the norm, to work for justice and peace, ending racism, hatred, and bigotry of any kind, to broaden our imagination, to deepen our trust, and to establish your kingdom on earth. Fill us with enthusiasm and wonder as we receive these gifts with open minds, generous hearts, and a willing spirit. Following the example of St. Vincent de Paul, may we too, the community of St. John's University, welcome the stranger. May we take full possession of this heritage and joyfully pass it on to generations of St. John's women and men who walk behind us into the future. We make our prayer this day in the spirit of St. Vincent de Paul and in the name of our everlasting Lord, who lives forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Kayla and Father Tracy. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Frank Obermeyer. Frank is a senior in St. John's College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, majoring in mathematical physics. He currently serves as the president of Student Government Incorporated on the Queens campus, and he is a member of the 2017-2018 President's Society. Please welcome Frank.
Thank you, Nunzia. As a proud member of this great university, I am honored to introduce your president, Dr. Conrado Bobby Gempassaw, as he delivers his third State of the University address. You may not know this, but Dr. Gempassaw and I have something in common. We both came to this university from the great state of Ohio in 2014. That makes us both seniors this year at St. John's University. But unlike me, who may be experiencing some of the telltale signs of senioritis, sleepiness, overconfidence, Dr. Gempassaw is steadfast in achieving his strategic priorities. Not only that, but he seems to be immune to the ailment of senioritis. It seems he is even more energized as he enters this fourth year at St. John's University. And amazingly, with all this work to achieve these strategic priorities, Dr. Gempassaw still finds time to show off his St. John's pride. Whether it's cheering on our Red Storm, attending Mass, or stopping by SJU Fest or other campus activities, you will often find Dr. Gempassaw and his wife, Dr. Clavel Gempassaw, supporting our students all over campus. Dr. Gempassaw, thank you for making us proud to call you our university president. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm St. John's welcome to Dr. Conrado Bobby Gempassaw, your university president.
When I initiated the State University 2 years ago, my goal for making this annual event was to promote an atmosphere of open communication, collaborative leadership, and shared responsibility. Today I will address the new challenges that we are now facing as a result of recent changes that happened in our state, our nation, and abroad, which has directly impacted what we do here at St. John's. Second, I will share with you an update on the progress that we have made in meeting our strategic priorities that I laid out during my presidential investiture 3 years ago. Third, I will share with you our plans moving forward to continue working on our long-term goals while addressing the serious challenges we face in higher education. As many of you know, we were successful in increasing the enrollment of first-year students in the past 2 years. We used extensive data analytics to identify students who would most likely succeed here at St. John's. In addition, we have reoriented our recruitment strategies to focus more on our primary market, particularly from Catholic high schools and public high schools here in New York. And that strategy worked. Starting in 2015, our university enrolled the highest number of first-year New York State residents than any other private college or university in the state. In 2015, we had 1,600 high school students attend our Queens Accepted Student Day, and close to 1,900 high school students, a record at that time, attended in 2016. Several months ago, on April 8, 2017, we hosted more than 2,000 students, which was again another record for our annual Queens Accepted Student Day. We were very much encouraged by the turnout of having record attendance 3 years in a row. However, enrolling the most number of New York State residents among all private colleges and universities in the state also exposed us to a major challenge. On April 9, 2017, the New York State legislators passed a new state budget providing free college tuition, now called Excelsior Scholarship, to any student whose family income was $100,000 or less for this year, increasing to $125,000 in 2019. You may want to know that about 70% of our students have family income within these income brackets. The new spending plan, including the Excelsior Scholarship Program, received overwhelming support in the Assembly and in the Senate. In addition, the legislature also passed the Enhanced Tuition Assistance Program, and that program provides tuition awards to New York State residents attending a private college in New York, but requires the participating private college or university to match that award. What that means is that it will require that we provide additional institutional aid to qualified students. Further impacting our recruitment challenge, many colleges and universities have also been affected by the decline in international student applications, both at the undergraduate and graduate levels. Many international students are now very concerned about their personal safety. For example, the recent case of a Chinese student missing in Illinois and the shooting of an Indian engineer in Kansas have raised personal safety concerns for international students and their parents. China and India are two countries that account for nearly half of all international students in the U.S. Furthermore, the rising tuition costs in U.S. universities and tough immigration policy pronouncements from the federal government have also impacted international student applications. So given these challenges, let us review our enrollment numbers for this academic year. During the past 2 years, we enrolled the largest freshman first-year class that we've had for many, many years. For this coming year, we will be enrolling between, as George tells me, between 2,950 and 3,000. So why do we say it will be between 2,950 and 3,000? Right now, as we sit here, there are 138 students who have paid their deposit but have not paid their tuition. They are here. We don't know how many of them will stay. If half of them will stay, we will be over 3,000. If they all leave, we'll probably be around 2,950. And we should know that in the next few weeks. We believe that more than half of the decline in first-year student enrollment was due to the Excelsior Scholarship Program. Despite this recruitment challenge, we continue to have the distinction of having the largest entering first-year class of any Catholic university or college in America. The average new SAT score of the entering class this year is estimated to be around 1150 and an ACT average of 25. The average high school GPA of our entering first-year students is 90, matching the record high of 90 the previous 2 years. Our first-year class enrollment at Staten Island is estimated to reach about 190 students, significantly higher than our 2015 enrollment, but lower than the 2016 enrollment last year, again primarily because of the Excelsior Scholarship Program. We can also report sustained enrollment of 1,300 Catholic students, with nearly 1,000 students coming from Catholic high schools, higher than our fall 2015 enrollment, but lower than the fall 2016 record enrollment. We will continue our efforts in recruiting students from Catholic high schools, given our mission as a Catholic in Vincentian University. Now let us focus on our graduate enrollment. As you can see, since 2012, our total graduate enrollment has been declining, despite the fact that starting in 2014, our entering graduate new students are starting to go up. So your question would be, why is it that the total is going down while the new graduate students entering is going up? So what's the answer? The intake is smaller than the outtake. More students are graduating because there were more students during this time that would finish their program. So the total trend is on the decline. This means that the implementation of various recruitment strategies to increase graduate enrollment is one priority area that requires continued attention, and you will see I will be emphasizing that a few times during my talk today. St. John's has had a remarkable record of providing access to higher education for young women and men who might not otherwise be able to afford college. But you have heard me emphasize many, many times that it is not enough that we provide student access. We must also focus on student success. From 2002 until 2014, for more than 12 years, our retention rate has been below 80%. That means for every 100 first-year students, more than 20 to 25 students do not return for their sophomore year. And our retention rate directly impacts our 6-year graduation rate, which is less than 60%. Today, I am pleased to report that after more than a decade of posting retention rates lower than 80%, starting in 2014, we achieved three straight years of retention rates at 80% or higher. You all remember we recorded our highest retention rate during the past 18 years at 84.2% for the fall 2015 class. This year, we're expecting that the fall 2016 cohort retention rate will be about 83, maybe higher. As we stand today, it's around 85%, but some of those students will probably not return. Let me say this straight. If not for the Excelsior Scholarship Program, causing many of our first-year students to transfer to New York public institutions, and we know that they transferred, we could have reached at least an 85% or higher retention rate. I commend the Freshman Center, Student Affairs, our academic deans, our faculty, other administrators, members of the SAFE mentoring program, and other colleagues involved in the advisement and mentoring for an outstanding job in sustaining student retention 3 years in a row. But we must continue to focus on sophomore persistence and beyond so our students will be able to complete their studies and graduate. Many of our students borrow money to attend St. John's. A few weeks ago, we conducted a survey of all our accepted first-year students. I'd like to share some of the survey results with you. It shows, for example, that 73% of those who decided not to enroll here at St. John's cited cost as the primary determining factor. Among those who decided to enroll, a bigger percentage, 76%, said that our financial aid offer was the primary determining factor. This means that those who enrolled considered our financial aid offer to be adequate, while those who did not enroll probably received a better financial aid package from another institution. As you know, at St. John's, if we have the resources and capacity to help, we will provide assistance. But there are limits to our ability to provide financial aid. This past year, we provided nearly $215 million to about 94% of our undergraduate students and an additional $22 million to our graduate students. Another important step in ensuring student success is career placement. Each year, the University Career Services conducts a survey of our graduating class to learn more about the number of graduates who are employed, seeking employment, or going to graduate school within 6 months of graduation. Again, I am pleased to report that each year we have been raising the bar, with the class of 2016 posting a 94.3% career placement rate, up from 88.5% in 2012. We thank the Office of Career Services for the assistance they provide to our students. Our second strategic priority is to recruit, recognize, and retain the best faculty, staff, and administrators. To achieve this priority, we must manage our resources well. The path to academic excellence starts with outstanding faculty who have a very special role in the teaching, scholarship, and service mission of our university. In 3 years, we have hired 112 new faculty members, of which 46 are new faculty positions. For next year, we plan to hire 45 new faculty members, including 12 new positions. This past year, we implemented our first ever net tuition revenue sharing program to generate discretionary funds for colleges and schools to use for faculty and administrator professional development and other academic initiatives. Sometime in October, there will be an early Christmas for the deans because our Chief Financial Officer, Sharon Hewitt-Watkins, will be distributing early gifts. So all deans should be nice to Sharon starting today. The net tuition revenue sharing program is based on our colleges and schools meeting student success metrics such as first-year retention, sophomore persistence, along with their contribution to credit hours taught. So this is a case where if we all work together and we push that lever higher for the success of our students, everyone wins. Human Resources recently implemented the RED system to replace the old PFP process by streamlining the evaluation process, incorporating feedback, and promoting a culture of shared ownership and accountability. So for the first time in this State of the University address, given the importance of the budget to our success, I'd like to share with you what our budget will be this year. Our gross tuition and fees is about $616 million, less financial aid of $247 million here, plus room and board and other revenues, resulting in a total net revenue of $462 million. More than 90%, 91% of our revenues come from student tuition, fees, and room and board, and the remaining 41 million or 9% come from contracts and grants, fundraising, investment income, revenue from athletics, facility rentals, conference services, and other income. I've said this before and I'd like to say it again. Our largest source of annual revenues come from student tuition fees, room, and board. Many of these student dollars come to us from the labor of hardworking and financially strapped families that our Vincentian founders challenged us to serve. We must not forget that for every dollar of financial aid we provide to a student, we must generate that tuition revenue from another student who's willing to pay for that aid. In terms of our expenses, because we have a balanced budget, unlike the federal government, our total budgeted expenditure is also $462 million, with more than half of the budget allocated to support instruction, academic offices, and student affairs. Institutional support expense is about 13.4% of the total budget, followed by operations and maintenance expense at 13%, debt service at 10%, auxiliary enterprise expense at 8%, and deferred maintenance and capital projects expense at 2%. Because expenses tend to increase faster than revenues, I would like to discuss how we have controlled administrative costs. So let me explain. In July of 2017, 2 months ago, the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, ACTA, released a study entitled "How Much is Too Much? Controlling Administrative Costs Through Effective Oversight." The report states that the cost of attending college and how colleges use their tuition revenues are top concerns of the public, since even with the maximum level of financial aid, the net price of college at 70% of all colleges and universities in this country is unaffordable for working and middle-class families. It is then very important to manage and control the cost of higher education. Using data from the U.S. Department of Education and IPED's Integrated Post-Secondary Education System, The study estimated the administrative instructional cost ratio, AI ratio, for over 1,200 four-year public and private universities using FY15 data. This ratio is an important indicator of the institution's budget priorities. For four-year private, not-for-profit doctoral universities with moderate research activity, the AI median ratio estimated by ACTA is 0.33. This means that for every dollar spent on academics, our peer institutions spend 33 cents on administrative cost. So I know all of you are waiting to see how we compare. Maybe I should take a poll first. Who says higher? No one wants to say higher. Who says lower? More hands. About the same. You won't get a grade if you won't answer. Since I began my term as president, I have repeatedly advocated for us to be mindful of how we spend our tuition revenues and to find ways to control costs. Some call me cheap, but I always say my discipline is in economics. So I'm an economist. So as an example, to control the increase in salaries and benefits, which is our largest expense item, we formed the Hiring Process Committee to critically review all employee hiring requests except for faculty hiring, which is conducted by the provost and the deans. So how do we compare in the administrative instructional cost ratio compared to our peer institutions? Let me explain. Our administrative cost from FY14 to FY17 has been going down from 87 million to 73 million. Our FY14, our instructional cost was 183 million in FY14, went down to 180 million in FY15. Why did it go down in FY15? Can someone take a guess? My PAC member should be able to answer that. Don't be ashamed. Why did it go down? The VSO. We had the voluntary separation program at that time. So if you can see, FY14 and FY15, administrative, instructional, and academic, all went down. But then what happened after the VSO? So after the VSO, administrative costs continue to go down. We started to invest. You saw how many faculty we were hiring. We started to invest on our instructional cost, and our academic support cost has grown, but fairly slightly. So our AI ratio, and I have to thank institutional research for their help, especially Christine Goodwin. Our AI ratio in FY14 was 0.35. By FY17, it is 0.29. That means that for every dollar that we spend on instruction, academic, and student support offices, we spend 29 cents on administrative cost. Over the past few years, we have performed better than our peer institutions as seen from our lower AI ratio. You can also see the declining trend in our administrative cost. But every dollar that we save from operating efficiently can be used to directly impact the academic success of our students. So I thank everyone for your commitment in controlling our administrative and academic support costs so we can invest those tuition dollars on instruction. Our third strategic priority is to enhance the teaching and learning environment. Over the past year, campus facilities and services completed more than 70 projects that will enhance the teaching and learning environment and reduce some of the backlog of deferred maintenance projects. So I'll show you some examples of the major work that our colleagues in campus facilities have done. The first example is where we're sitting here today. Let me share with you my personal story on this auditorium. When I first visited Marillac Hall Auditorium in the early weeks of 2014, I quickly learned of two things. First, I learned that Marillac Hall Auditorium is our largest auditorium that is also used as a classroom for our largest classes. Second, I learned that the auditorium was in dire need of major renovation. As you can see, this newly renovated auditorium now provides our students with a much, much improved learning environment. We also renovated St. Albert Hall Auditorium with a completely rebuilt HVAC system, and I say hopefully a quieter system. And the renovated auditorium now provides flexibility for active learning or traditional lecture format. That's how the auditorium looks now, with seating capacity of 273 seats. Last year, we finished the first phase of the St. Augustine Hall renovation for the College of Professional Studies. The second phase focused on the construction of the Homeland Security Lab, the Cyber Security Lab, which is the Innovation Lab, the Computer Science Lab, the Idea Lab, and a multi-purpose room. So let me show examples of these 5 or 6 labs. The Homeland Security and Emergency Management Simulation Lab provides a virtual reality environment where our students supplement concepts with practical experience in decision-making when dealing with emergency management scenarios. This is the first kind of a lab in the whole Northeast. The Cybersecurity Lab provides students with the opportunity to learn how to use cybersecurity software for detecting intrusion, vulnerability mitigation, network perimeter defense, network forensics investigation, and malware analysis. Seems like we all would like to go to school again. The Computer Science Lab provides space for students to work on research projects, grant development, class homeworks, data mining, and healthcare informatics. The Innovation Lab is a hands-on design and test space where students learn how to develop new products and how to convert them into commercially viable content and output using high-tech discovery, virtual reality experimentation, 3D printing, and mobile application testing. And the Idea Lab is a creative space for mass communication students to produce digital and print media products using digital screen and physical display. A project that started 18 months ago is finally complete, and that is the Tobin College of Business facilities. It features a state-of-the-art business analytics lab, an incubator center, a dedicated career services center, 9 active learning classrooms, and a large multi-purpose room. Let's see some photos. The picture on the left, you all forgot, is the old TCB building. And the picture on the right is the newly renovated TCB building. One of the features of the new TCB building, and we are very thankful to the chair of our Board of Trustees, Bill Collins, and his wife Leslie, for their very generous support in building a high-tech business analytics lab with 40 desktops with Bloomberg machines, video wall, and a colored LED stacked ticker. Thank you, Bill. We also thank another member of our board, Paul Evanson, and his wife Carol, for their generous support of our new TCB Career Services Center with 5 offices and technology-equipped interview rooms and other resources to prepare our students for the job market. We are also grateful to the late Valerie and Gerard Sedano for their generous support of the TCB Dean Suite, comprised of 13 administrative offices. Valerie and Gerard were longtime supporters of St. John's, and through their estate, continue to support the university. And this time, the applause should be louder. No building is complete without a terrace, and this could not happen without the generous support of our own Jack Clark. So hopefully many of you will have the chance to use the terrace to meet with colleagues or students, or to simply to take a break from your busy day. Jack, thank you very much. 3 weeks ago, we inaugurated the opening of the St. John's Long Island Graduate Center in Hauppauge, New York, to support primarily programs in the School of Education and St. John's College, and future programs that TCB and CPS will be offering in that location. I believe that this new graduate center will allow St. John's to enhance its presence in Suffolk County and will be the impetus for more academic and community partnerships in that state. Campus facilities also completed many other major deferred maintenance projects on our Queens and Staten Island campuses, including roof replacements, building facade repairs, infrastructure improvements, HVAC repairs, and road repairs. We thank our colleagues from Campus Facilities and Services for their hard work and commitment in completing these numerous projects with tight deadlines, and more importantly, staying within the budget guidelines. Thank you, guys. So as many of you know by now, I'm particularly interested in the availability and use of technology to enhance our teaching and learning environment. The typical high school student, high school senior today, applies to at least 6 to 10 and sometimes 15 schools. So what's the reality? The reality is that many students we're trying to recruit are also being recruited by many other universities. Thus, it is very important that we focus on improving the condition of our classroom, laboratories, technology, and other teaching tools that will enhance learning in our university. Technology has been part of how students learn today, and it is critical that we provide these opportunities to our faculty and students. So I'm very pleased to inform you that the information technology team, in partnership with many academic and administrative units, implemented the following major projects. They have upgraded classroom technology, incorporated academic technology and renovations, streamlined enrollment and business affairs, administrative systems, instituted cybersecurity initiatives and disaster preparedness plans, and improved our underlying IT infrastructure. So let's see examples. For classroom technology upgrades, we have upgraded 163 general use classrooms and 6 active learning spaces. That's almost 80% completed. That's significant. 3 years ago, less than 10% of our classrooms, general use classrooms, had up-to-date technology tools to support, to enhance teaching and learning. Another example is a traditional sitting classroom in Staten Island that could be converted to an active learning classroom. So you can see this is a traditional sitting classroom, but it's easy for the professors and the students to convert it to an active learning classroom where groups of students have their own monitor to discuss projects or topics that's being taught by the professor. Research has shown that when students are actively involved in the learning task, they learn more, remember more, than when they are passive recipients of instruction. When I started visiting high schools 3 years ago, the typical technology being used is what I will show you right now. It's called the smartboard, similar to this one. We still have a few of those here at our university. One thing I noticed was that last year, when we continued visiting these high schools, some of the high schools began replacing these smartboards with high-definition interactive displays. High school students are now exposed to the latest technology tools in their learning environment, and these are exactly the same high school students we would like to recruit. So, in June of 2016, I visited several public high schools, not here in the United States, but in Beijing, China. They have fully embraced the use of technology in the learning process, and I saw classrooms designed with integrated whiteboards and high-definition interactive displays. This allows the instructor flexibility in switching from using the whiteboard to the high-definition interactive display for presentation purposes. So when I was in China, I took photos with my iPhone, and when I returned here, I showed them to our IT team. Within 6 months, we have installed this new technology option in some of our classrooms here in Marillac Hall. That's not in China, that's here. We have also installed multiple high-definition displays in large classrooms, so students can view the presentation materials adequately even if they're sitting way at the back section of the classroom. Another example of the use of enhanced technology tools is lecture capture with high-definition projector. This is an example where a high-definition confidence monitor is facing the instructor, so he or she does not have to turn to see what is being projected to the front screen. In this manner, the instructor can maintain eye contact with the students and looking at the monitor when necessary. So I am actually practicing what I'm preaching. I'm looking at my monitor while you're looking at me. But I have to cheat my notes and come back here. In addition, there is a camera mounted on the confidence monitor to record video of the class lecture. If you look back, there is also a lecture capture camera in this auditorium. So what is lecture capture? This is a technology that allows the instructor to record what happens in the classroom, including the lecture and discussion, and make it available digitally for students at a later time for review of class materials. You will also see and notice that in this classroom, the desk and seats all have rolling wheels that allow for ease in converting the classroom into an active learning format. We have, I am told, more than 100 of our classrooms with lecture capture capability. Other academic technology enhancement include the upgrade of student printing, network and wireless upgrades, and the use of beacon technology to enhance mobile device location notification messaging. Our IT team has also partnered with academic and administrative units in upgrading the degree audit system, establishing the process for the implementation of the Enhanced Tuition Award program, and migrating to a new CRM called Slate to personalize student recruitment. Other initiatives include the implementation of a new email communication campaign for graduate student recruitment, the upgrading of the ISSM software in support of visa application and reporting to the federal government, and as I've mentioned earlier, the development of the RED form to replace the old PFP appraisal form. So at this point, I'd like to thank our colleagues from Information Technology for their tremendous efforts and hard work to enhance our teaching and learning environment with these technology tools. Let's give them a big round of applause. Our fourth strategic priority is to expand global and community partnerships. The generosity of our alumni, friends, and benefactors is a defining characteristic of St. John's University. This past fiscal year, gifts to the university totaled over $22 million, an increase of $1.4 million over the previous year. In 3 years, our collective advancement efforts have raised nearly $62 million. Of the 11,786 donors last year, more than 8,000 were alumni, an increase of more than 550 new alumni donors from the previous year. Last May, we inducted 6 new members to our Founders Society. The members of the Founders Society are those donors who have given or pledged at least $1 million to the university. Since its inception, the founding society members have given or pledged more than $180 million, thus signifying their personal commitment to our Vincentian mission of educating and helping those most in need. We cannot thank them enough for their generosity and support of St. John's University. I also want to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge those donors, including many of our employees who support the university as members of the Laughlin Society. I also thank the members of the McAllen Society and the Red and White Club who continue to support St. John's every year. In June of 2017, 1,600 alumni and friends attended our second Grand Alumni Homecoming weekend, and in August of 2017, over 300 alumni and friends attended the graduates of the last decade and the Tobin College of Business Alumni Association Summer Social in the city. After a successful first season run 2 years ago, we completed the second season of the TV talk show Sharing Knowledge in partnership with Telecare Television. The show explores the contemporary secular and religious issues in higher education and society. I'm very proud to note that Sharing Knowledge was honored with a Telly Award in the general education category this past academic year. It gives me confidence to have another career after I finish my term here as president. The topics we covered included the value of Catholic schools, the role of higher education in society, athletics and the college experience, cybersecurity, risk and opportunities, developing young Catholic leaders, and global homelessness. St. John's also signed an agreement with New York Presbyterian Queens to explore opportunities to collaborate in healthcare services and educational partnerships. We again continue to expand our partnerships with Suffolk County Community College and Queensborough Community College, and our athletics department signed agreements with several corporate partners to support Red Storm Athletics. Now, I'm branching to another topic after I've given you a quick update on our strategic priorities. An article by John Marcus entitled "Learning in a Time of Disruption" was recently published by the New York Times this summer. The article states that colleges and universities are facing major problems that threaten their very existence. With declining population, particularly in the Northeast and the Midwest regions, changing demographic and socioeconomic conditions, colleges are experiencing declining net tuition revenues and increasing operating expenses, causing budgetary problems. In order to fill seats, colleges are engaged in an arms race of tuition discounting they increasingly cannot afford. A recent study released last May 2017 noted that tuition discounting by private colleges and universities have reached record high levels. In addition, colleges and universities face a combined shortfall of $30 billion for needed repairs and renovation. To attract students, colleges and universities keep building more and adding billions of dollars in debt on which someone will have to pay the interest later on. Given these challenges, early this year, I engaged the President's Advisory Council in a day-long retreat to discuss a concept called strategic opportunism. This is the ability to remain focused on our long-term objectives, in this case, our strategic priorities, while staying flexible enough to solve day-to-day problems and recognize new opportunities. But as we all know, this is easier said than done. When I joined St. John's 3 years ago, one of our major challenges was the decline in our undergraduate and graduate enrollment, causing our institution to offer 2 voluntary separation programs in 4 years as a means to lower salary and benefit expenses. But I say we had an equally serious challenge, and that was how to retain our first-year students, since many of them leave within a year, primarily because of financial considerations, given the high cost of higher education. You may recall that we made a bold and historical decision at that time to freeze our tuition, first time in our history. We also made major changes in our recruitment strategy, along with the higher level of providing advising and mentoring support to our students. Guided by our 4 strategic priorities, we have increased new enrollment at both the undergraduate and graduate levels. In addition, you've seen that we have sustained our first-year retention rates for 3 years, which are the highest rates we have achieved in almost 2 decades, and our career placement rate is also at an all-time high. In 3 years, we have hired 112 new faculty members, with plans to hire 45 more faculty this year in order to strengthen our academic programs. Imagine this, by next fall, we will have hired more than 150 new faculty members, helping us achieve academic excellence. Renovation projects to improve our teaching and learning environments have been completed, and many are ongoing. We continue to build partnerships both locally and internationally. Fundraising support from our alumni and friends are also on the upswing. But many recent external factors have impacted our strategies that we implemented 2 or 3 years ago, making it necessary for us to critically evaluate how we can confront the new challenges we're facing and how to prioritize our opportunities. So 2 weeks ago, more than 100 faculty, administrators, staff, and students participated in the 4th Annual President's Retreat to discuss these challenges and opportunities. I'd like to share with you a summary of the top recommendations from the retreat by focusing on 8 priority areas. There are many action steps recommended, but for our discussion today, I will only focus on the top 2 or 3 recommended action steps per priority area. And while there are more details behind the recommended priority areas and action steps, I will not discuss them this afternoon given our time constraint. So, the first priority area is obviously enrollment and student success. This is also our first strategic priority. The action steps recommended are to enhance academic quality and improve perception of St. John's academic programs. Let me do a brief lecture on enrollment and recruitment. Our enrollment management colleagues have basically 2 levers to increase enrollment. One way is to increase the acceptance rate by accepting most, if not all, applicants. But if we do that, many students who are less qualified for college will not be retained and will not graduate. The other way is to increase scholarship and tuition discounting. But that will mean lower tuition revenue, which will lead to serious budgetary problems. I say the best way to attract students is to do it the old-fashioned way. And what's that? By investing in our academic priorities to enhance the quality of our academic programs and improve our retention and graduation rates. The second priority area is academic revenue diversification. While more than 90% of our revenues come from student-sourced revenues, close to 80% come from undergraduate tuition. This means that if we miss our first-year student enrollment target, or if our retention rates are low, our budgets will be impacted. It is very important that we must diversify and implement a more effective graduate student recruitment strategy. The second action step is to revise our undergraduate enrollment strategies given recent government policy changes and the highly competitive nature of higher education today. And the third action step is to develop programs designed for the non-traditional market, including online offerings, 2-year degrees, certificates, budgets, and other programs. Today, non-traditional students far outnumber the 18 to 22-year-olds who have historically entered college directly from high school. The predominant college students of today tend to be older and come from more diverse socioeconomic backgrounds and often have work and family obligations. The third priority area deals with demographics, diversity, and inclusion. It is a fact that our university has one of the most diverse campuses in the nation. We are proud of our diversity because this is part of the mission started by our Vincentian founders 147 years ago to educate the children of immigrants and to help those most in need. The recommended action steps are to improve student success outcomes and address achievement gaps for all our students, to integrate diversity and inclusion in our curriculum, very important, and to continue and recruit and retain diverse employees. In my letter to the university community 3 weeks ago, I said, and I quote, "It is in our diversity and commitment to inclusivity that we learn to understand each other so we can be stronger in meeting the challenges we face today." The fourth priority area is enhancing our teaching and learning environment. One action step that received the highest rating among the retreat participants is the improvement of our STEM facilities and laboratories. Many of our top academic programs are in the STEM field, and it is critical that our students and faculty learn, teach, and conduct their scholarship in up-to-date STEM classrooms, laboratories, and other facilities. A second action step recommended is to continue to increase the technology enhancement of classrooms, labs, and other learning facilities. The fifth priority area deals with operating budgets and capital expenditures. Given the rising costs of higher education, we must continue to be disciplined in controlling our expenses. While we have lowered our administrative costs relative to our instructional costs, we should also establish measures of effectiveness and assign accountability metrics. A second action step is to budget for deferred maintenance and capital expenditures, as these one-time expenses can be insurmountable if not planned and budgeted well. And the third action step is to increase our efforts to raise external funds to help with our operating budget. The sixth priority area is the relationship among all our campuses and locations. Today, we have 7 campuses and locations. The retreat participants recommended that a master plan be developed for each branch campus and location to determine specific strategies that are consistent with overall university strategic priorities. It was also recommended that the individual campuses and locations be empowered so they can develop new revenue streams and partnerships. The seventh priority area deals with partnership. It was recommended that St. John establish partnerships with healthcare, technology, corporate, and not-for-profit organizations that will benefit our academic and athletic programs. The group also recommended that we pursue academic and administrative partnerships with other colleges and universities to expand our enrollment and feeder base. And the eighth priority area focuses on culture, assessment, and accountability. We must be cognizant, as I've said earlier, that the major source of our salaries and benefits is student revenues. This means we must constantly find ways to use our resources efficiently and effectively. The group also recommended the development of a transparent decision-making process in implementing accountability metrics. It was emphasized that we should all be working as part of a team with shared ownership and commitment in achieving our shared responsibility. I'd like to end with 2 quotes. The first one is from a Zen parable that says, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path. Never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to improve our condition." I believe we should always try to look for opportunities in our challenges. We have to innovate our way out of problems by being creative and not reject an idea simply because that's not the way we have been doing it. There is a saying that we should never let a serious crisis go to waste. The second quote is from John Maxwell, who said, "It is never the size of your problem that is the problem. It is the lack of momentum." Colleagues, we have established momentum during the past 3 years because of your hard work and commitment to our strategic priorities. And I am sincerely grateful to all of you for your efforts to improve and strengthen our university. However, given the new realities in higher education, we must redouble our efforts to be innovative and decisive so we can accelerate the momentum for change. Let us continue working together so we can build a much stronger foundation for future St. John students, employees, alumni, and friends in our community. Clavel and I would like to thank all of you for your prayers and support, and like to end by saying, may God bless all of you, and may God bless our university. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Dr. Gempisaw. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program for the evening. At this time, we ask that you please stand and join us in singing our alma mater, which will be led by Kayla Knight. Immediately following the alma mater, we ask that you please remain in place until the recessional has exited. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thy children here today galore, old St. John's, our dear St. John's, and true will they be evermore. Old St. John's, our dear St. John's, thy colors bright, the red and white, we'll wave aloft from morn till night. Victorious we'll show our might. Old St. John's, our dear St. John's, from fervent hearts we breathe our prayer. Old St. John's, our dear St. John's, as we commend thee to his care. Old St. John's, our dear St. John's, that he will guard thee by his might, and be thy shield in every fight. Thou champion of sacred right, old St. John's, our dear St. John.